Hey there, everybody. It's me, Rob Acker with Ultimate Academy. I hope everyone out there is enjoying themselves as we're in spring now, time of great vitality and growth, fertility. And so, we're going to try something today that we've never tried before. And I'm excited for it because our website is being completely revamped and we're going to launch it soon. And it's just really exciting. But in the meantime, we're going to be testing things out. This is going to be our episode 001 of our podcast for Ultimate Academy. And we're doing a simultaneous broadcast. We're also doing a live video while we're also recording this in the audio for our podcast listeners and things like that. So, today, just as a small little sampling, what I wanted to do was actually share a question and extended answer that we had, because if we're going to do a test of this, we might as well do something fun with it that's meaningful, and I just got really tickled by this. So I connected with a fellow educator there on LinkedIn, and they sent me this question. This was actually back in December. But this person, whose first name is Julia, I won't disclose the rest of it, but in any case, she says, "Hi Rob, I see that you have a very diverse background across your studies and volunteer work, but that you focus heavily on teaching and international connections. What is your favorite part about combining these two passions of yours?" And I thought that that was such a great question, and even though in the midst of that, at the time, I happened to have a little bit of extra time on my hands that morning, so I went off and just gave a super detailed response, and I'm going to share that with you right now. But once again, the question was asking me that they are aware that I have a very diverse background from my studies and volunteer work, but that I mainly focus on teaching and international connection, and what is my favorite part about combining those two passions. And so my answer was, "Wow, Julia, great question. I could probably go on way too long about it, but let me at least try to give a halfway decent answer to your question. First, as far as teaching goes, it's certainly a passion, a concrete way I can create value in the world, put my skills to use for the enduring benefit of mankind, help coach, inspire, and mentor the next generation so that they can approach the problems we face in the 21st century, and there's a lot, with a sense of courage, empowerment, diligent attitude, a love for the earth and humanity, and without feelings of self-doubt, apathy, or just overwhelming powerlessness. Few things give me as much reward as cultivating young people and maximizing their potential. Um, to know that I've actually played a direct hand in benefiting someone else's life in the most profound of ways, it's really an incredible feeling, and I feel extremely grateful and privileged to be able to touch young minds and hearts on a near daily basis. It really is rewarding. The politics of teaching and the education system is an entirely different matter altogether, but I don't allow that to get in the way of my personal commitments to students or my educational philosophy and pedagogy, which many teachers do not or cannot enjoy the luxuries that I can in being able to have 100% control of my course content. So I'm very lucky with that. But usually you only get to do that at the college level anyway, and it wasn't an easy path to get there. Even then, I still feel like I've barely managed to get my foot in the door as far as education goes, even despite having done this for, it's getting close to 10 years now. I want to share this quote one of my students sent me just before the holiday break after turning in her final. This helps me, I think, to explain and emphasize why I genuinely feel like I'm accomplishing my purpose in this lifetime, and that my life is going in the right direction, which to me is very important. Many people don't know this, but actually both of my parents died before the age of 60. My dad died in 2013 and my mom passed away in 2015. My father's final words to me were, "The path you've chosen, you should stick to it." And when I hear my students respond in this way that I'm about to share with you, it's the ultimate validation of both my father's words and my own personal mission. And so I'm going to share that with you today. This student wrote to me and she said, "Finally, I wanted to thank you. You have now provided me with 3 semesters of constant engagement and profound studies. This class, however, has been my favorite not only out of my semesters with you, but throughout my whole high school experience. I love being able to talk about political issues and their tremendous impacts on society, being able to give an opinion and relate to myself as an individual is an experience that none of my other classes could possibly give me. You're an amazing professor as you show us first perspective experiences through videos, books, and other pieces of media. There are so many profound movies and videos you've shown that further put emphasis on the significance behind these issues, as well as us as a class being able to sympathize. I love how, as a class, we're able to convey themes constantly through discussions, plays, papers, and the list goes on. Your class has been a relaxed environment where I'm able to be myself. I appreciate all you've done for me as I've continuously see myself improving after semesters with you. Please relax and have a safe, fun break. You deserve it. Happy holidays." And so I am just always just overwhelmed, the feeling I get when I hear those kinds of responses from students that really understand what I'm trying to do in the class and really understand what the point is and how this benefits their life and how it helps to create a better person from understanding. Understanding the world around you can help create a better world. And so I'm just thrilled when I hear these kinds of things from my students. But in any case, to know that not only her, but all the students in my class feel the same way gives me a sense of happiness and accomplishment that no other profession, I believe, can really match. And the reason I can say that about all my other students is that I usually have them giving me feedback and stuff so I can improve. But generally, when you're getting a lot more positive feedback than negative feedback, you know you're doing something right. Yeah, so second, as to my international considerations, and this is going back to the question that Julia asked, as a Buddhist committed and a committed world citizen, I feel a strong obligation to understand the world from outside of the myopic lens of only the perspective of my own country. I consider myself a living example of a global citizen. In the words of Dr. Majid Turanian, he said, "To be a world citizen does not mean that you have to give up your religion, your ethnicity, nationality, and so on. Instead, it means that you take responsibility, global responsibility, and attempt to better understand what is going on in the world." As a college professor teaching political science and history, I find it imperative that we do so. You know, my mother had a huge impact on me gaining an impetus to want to travel. Her job was actually as an environmental engineer, and that was to go to mining operations the world over, evaluate how well or unwell they were fulfilling environmental regulations, and if they weren't, which was often the case, she would then have to create a proposal for them to implement in order to meet these environmental regulations. She traveled to every continent except Antarctica, which I found fascinating, especially as a child, and even more so later today. She would often tell me these stories about the countries that she visited. She would bring back these gifts and souvenirs and show us pictures from her journeys. And she was an unbelievably inspiring woman, and thanks to her encouragement and support, I undertook a study abroad to Beijing, China, while pursuing my master's degree. And that experience fundamentally changed my life. And to any person out there questioning if they should ever do a study abroad or anything like that, my answer is unequivocally yes, you absolutely should. Um, there's no other way to say it other than it will change your life. In so many ways. And it changed how I thought. It changed how I acted. It changed how I felt, how I believed, and how I saw the world. I also made so many friendships that transcended these borders of nationalism, and I saw the powerful workings of humanism, even in a country that supposedly embodied its antithesis, such as China. Um, when you travel in the world and you go to other countries and meet other people, you slowly begin to realize that despite all the differences, there's actually so much more that is the same about us as being humans. We may have cultural misunderstandings and things that come from our own biases and our own prejudices, but when it comes down to it, we're all humans and we all come from beautiful cultures and we all have really wonderful things to offer the world if only the world is open-minded enough to try to discover and learn about it. And I think that that's something that's just very powerful. And so in any case, as a committed Buddhist, I truly believe that we cannot solve these problems that are as big as the world without first working together with the peoples of the world to solve these problems that confront us all. In the words of the educational pioneer Horace Mann, we teach more by what we are than by what we teach. The example of my life can be used to benefit the lives of others. And thus, I fully intend to do that. I also firmly believe that unless humanity works together in friendly cooperation to confront the most challenging and concerning issues in the history of mankind's existence, we face the very real prospect of destroying not only ourselves, but also the beautiful planet that we inhabit. I cannot and shall not sit idly by and allow people to just destroy what humanity has worked so hard for over thousands of years. But my life is limited, and so are my abilities. But if I can multiply my sincere and burning desire to help mankind coexist in peace and prosperity, then we can have a chance to overcome the seemingly impossible. My students will carry on that legacy of caring about each other and the planet we inhabit, and they will work in our own individual ways to help rather than hurt the world. And so my students have that understanding. And my hope is that the people that I meet also come away with that understanding. Many of us already have that understanding. We just haven't had it articulated in such a way that we said, that's what I was meaning to say. Yeah, so obviously I'd love to expand myself to other horizons, but unfortunately nearly all my time is invested in these two passions. And all the remaining time that I should allocate should be allocated to my wife, who's also an ardent supporter, my greatest companion, and greatest source of inspiration and encouragement. You guys will get a chance to meet her a bit later on in another episode, but we fight together and love together. And when people talk or write about us in the future, my hope is that they will say that they weren't concerned with gazing into each other's eyes, completely oblivious to the world around them, but rather that we were two humans who stood shoulder to shoulder looking at the horizon together, supporting and encouraging each other forward toward the future. That's the kind of love that I think is true love. But like I said, I could go on forever, but I do apologize that sometimes I get so wrapped up that even though I'm cutting it short, it still feels like I'm going on for like way too long. I think I had anticipated this being a couple of minutes, and here we are pushing about 15 minutes now. So yeah, in any case, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and though I barely scratched the surface, I hope this was a very satisfactory answer to that question. And so finally, I just wanted to say to all of our listeners, all of our supporters, all the students, educators, administrators, every person working in education and with the education systems, not just in America, but throughout the world, I just sincerely thank you for your time. And I hope that as we work together confronting these issues that face humankind in the 21st century, the educators will be on the front line, providing teaching, inspiration, guidance, and wisdom for the next generation so that they're prepared to effectively tackle these problems and not only feel like these problems are so daunting that there's no way I could ever solve them, but instead feel with a certain conviction that it's my mission, and no matter what happens, I'm going to ensure that it's completed. And so, I'm really excited seeing the younger generation, even though I still kind of consider myself that. But just watching them grow and watching them flourish and just kind of imagining the places they're going to go and the things they're going to accomplish during their lifetime. It's very special. So In any case, I'm going to bid everyone adieu. This will conclude our simultaneous broadcast. Thank you so much, all of our listeners, and we'll catch you next time on a new episode. Thank you so much once again. I'm Rob Acker with Ultimate Academy. Have a good one.